All right, so now we sort of have a way to die. Now we need a way to basically win. All right, so we're going to have to make a couple of scripts. So what we're going to do is make what we're going to call a pickup script. Okay, so what we're going to do is create another empty. All right, and we're basically just going to call this the player pickup, because that's going to be our pickup object. I'm going to take it and I'm going to parent it to the player, and I'm just going to zero out its transforms. Okay, so it's right there, and I'm going to add a component, and what we're going to do is we are going to add a box collider, and what I want this box collider to do is I just want it a little bit bigger than the player in general. Okay, because what I need, and we'll call that good, it needs to be bigger than the, why am I not seeing, oh, it's player graphic. Okay, good. Because what I want to have happen is this. If I put it inside of the regular collider, there's no way that this will ever penetrate. But now, having the pickup a little bit bigger, that way it's a little bit easier for them to grab it. So just to make sure that they get it. And we're just going to go ahead and make this a trigger. And what we're going to do is, this will be our pickups. We're going to put a pickup script on here. So every time that we like catch a coin, or we grab health, or anything like that, this is going to handle, when we hit stuff, it's going to send it, it's going to call the appropriate scripts and just keep track of everything for us. All right, so it's going to pick up whatever the stuff is, and then, do the rest of the, and call the appropriate things and make sure everything's running. Okay, so we're going to have to attach a script to it, so I'm just going to right click down here, create C# script, and we're going to call it player pickup script. All right, and just double click on that. All right, and okay, good. So there it is there. All right, so yeah. So what we're going to do is on here, we do not need a void update. I'm going to get rid of this stuff too. Instead, it's going to be an onTrigger enter 2D, because this is for when something enters it. So onTrigger enter 2D, and just like before, it's what it's going to send us is going to be a collider 2D, and we're just going to name it COL. Now the reason why I name it COL for the variable name is because if you look at any of the stuff, that's usually what they end up naming it. So it's nothing more than that. You can give it a different name if you want, but just as long as you know. I like naming it COL, so it reminds me, though, also that it's a collider and not the game object, so that I don't get confused with things. So what we're going to do with this is we're just going to test what we're hitting, okay? So in this case, what that means is that we're going to go like if COL dot tag, we're just going to do tags again. If it's equal, if the tag is finish, right? We're going to run what's in this code, okay? We'll do another one. We'll say else if COL dot tag is equal to, let's say, score item, then it will do what this is. And then we'll just make it for all the different things we can pick up. So let's, I could do another one. We'll do another else if the COL dot tag is life item, okay? And we have to make tags for all of these things, and we'll just attach it to the objects that have that. But that's what this is going to do. So basically, this is going to be a pickup script, and we're just going to have a whole list of stuff, and to say, okay, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And then it's just going to go right down the line and say if it's any one of those things. I actually don't need these, so we'll just get rid of those for now. We're going to add them later, but I just don't want to. I don't want it to be. Actually, you know what? Let's leave them in there for now. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to say if COL.tag is finish. We're just going to go ahead and just do this debug.log, and I'm just going to say you beat it, okay, whatever, and put a semicolon. Okay, so this is debug.log, just as a reminder, is basically that when something happens, it'll write it to the console. Okay, so it's good for like troubleshooting and looking up errors and things. So now what I need to do is I need to have, so I'm going to go ahead and save this actually to, yeah, we'll save it. What we need to have is actually have this we need to have an object that's going to keep track of what we want, right? So I'm just going to go aim object. Let's just do a 2D object. We'll do a sprite. And I'm just going to call this door, okay? And we need to add, what was I calling it? Where are you at? Finish. So that was the name of the tag, okay? So I'm just going to call it finish. So I'm going to go here, and you can see there is nothing, right? Yeah. So we'll do add tag, hit the little plus here. I'm going to call it finish. All right. And then we go back to this, and then that tag will be one of the options right here, finish. Okay. So now this object now has that, but we can't physically see it. So let's make it that we can. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll do background here. And I'm just going to hit R for scale, and I'm just going to kind of scale it up. And I'll scale it a little bit wider. And like that. And I'm just going to put it over here. I hit W, move it over. Now, if I were to run the script right now and have it go in, it's actually not going to work, because if you remember, if you look at the script, what it's doing is it's going to take the collider 2D, right? And that's what's testing the tag of it. If you look at here, this doesn't have a collider, so we actually have to add a collider to this as well. So just do physics 2D, box collider, that's fine. I'm going to make it a trigger, so that way we can make sure we can walk through it. I think it should work regardless, but just I'm just going to make that trigger just to make sure. Okay, so that's that. I got it finish. Let me see, player pickup. Here it is here, but you see we didn't actually add the script yet, and I don't know that I saved it either, so let me just Control S, go back here, and let me see, player pickup, click back on that, and I'm just going to take the player pickup script, and I'm going to drop it up. Oops, I'm on ground check. That was on this one. Okay, player pickup script, I'm going to put it on that pickup object thing. Good, and then I'll hit play. And we should see to the console, although for whatever reason I can't see my door, so I gotta look at this. If you see how it says -86, that's really far away, so just zero out that. It should hopefully be viewed now. Yeah, it was behind the camera, because the camera is behind this. This stuff's all at 0, and the camera's at -10 because it's towards us. This was -86, so it was actually behind the camera. So now, if I were to go over here and go like this, it should say, you beat it. So if we go to console, you see, you beat it. Yay, right? So if I go back and forth, you can see how it says 2. That means it's just a repeat. So every time I hit it, it's doing 1. So that's working. Okay, good. Now that's fine. That works. But I would like it to be control more than just that. Okay. So what I need it to control is basically, I don't want it to just do this debug.log, right? What I'm going to want it to do is either open up the next level, like send, load the next level and put the character in there, and we'll play the next level, or I want it to do like or if it's the last level, be like, you won the game, or whatever it's going to do. So this sort of works. I know the finish and the tag and everything's working, but I want to do that. Now, I don't want to put that inside of my player pickup script, because that doesn't make sense for it to be in there. Things that deal with the way that the game functions, like loading levels or GUI elements, just operating the game in general, like taking care of various mechanics, that's all going to be handled by the game controller script. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add another script here. So right click, create, C# script. I'm going to call it game controller script. Okay, so we got a game controller script. Go ahead and double click that open. And in this script, all I'm going to do for now, because I don't have a bunch of things to be doing, I'm just going to get rid of this guy. I'm going to get rid of this. And I don't believe I need to start. We probably will need one at some point, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this instead. I'm going to go public void. I'm going to change it from start to victory. Okay, and then in here I'm going to go ahead and just for now debug.log, and we're just going to say, you won. Okay, so and then put a semicolon on the end. All right, so this is just a placeholder. Eventually it's going to say load next level, but I only have one level, and I don't even really have a level. So but I want this to run instead of it being on in here. So you can probably tell what's going to go. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to go back to player pickup script. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna basically make a variable that's gonna hold it for us. Okay, so let's just tab this, and it's gonna be a public variable. We're gonna call it game controller script is the type, and I'm just gonna call it the same thing, game controller script. Now notice that I'm starting with a lowercase because this is a variable name. This is an object type, right? This is a component, all right? This is what I'm labeling it. This is what it's going to be. All right, hang on a second. Sounds like my dog is whining. Oh, she's just a whiny dog. Okay, I'm going to leave it be for now, and I'll deal with it later. All right, so we got public game controller script, and then what I'm going to do is basically store that. So I have this thing that will hold the game controller script, but it's not actually doing anything yet. So first on the first frame, I'm going to go ahead and store it into this variable that I made to hold it. So we're going to do game controller script. I'm going to set that equal to, so this is where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so I got this player. It's probably giving me some errors. Yeah, I got this player pickup script, right? And I'm gonna have this grab the game controller script, okay, which currently doesn't exist. But I'm gonna make another game object that's gonna hold it. Well, I can't do the usual thing where I go get component because it doesn't exist inside of it. That script is not gonna, that game controller script is not gonna be inside of this. I can't do get component in parent because it's not going to be in anything above it, and there's nothing underneath it, so I can't do get component in child either. So I have to find another way. I have to actually look for an object, and then in that object grab the component. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit different. Now this will only work because there's only one game controller object. If there was a bunch of game controller objects, that would be a little bit more difficult to work with. So I could like look for game objects with a tag or and then store it into an array or something, you know. But in this case, there's only going to be one object on every level called game controller, so this will work. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and I'm going to look for the game. Come on, buddy, you can do it. Game object dot find. So I'm going to look for a game object, and this is a function. Notice it's a capital. Okay. And the game object that I'm going to look for, it's going to be called game controller. All right. And actually, before I even finish this, let's go back to here. And I'm just going to go ahead and make it so you see. So I'm going to create an empty. I'll just zero this all out. It actually doesn't make a difference, but just because I'm anal. And we're just going to call this game controller. Okay. Game controller. So I'll just say, okay. So that's what it's going to look for. It's going to be looking for this game controller. And we're going to put the game controller. I wonder if I can put it on there. Will it let me? Okay. And it's got the game controller script. So I'm going to look for the game controller, and then I'm going to grab this game controller script. That's what I'm trying to do. So it's going to game object.find game controller. That's the object. And then I'm going to do .get component, right? Because now I've gotten to the point where I found the object. Now I'm going to go in the object, look for a component called game controller script. Okay. And I think that was it. Yeah, game controller script, and that's a function, so it has to have the arguments. All right. So game object, look for the game object, game controller, get the game controller script component, and then store that in this. And if you look, that's what this is meant to store, this variable. Okay. So I'm going to put that in there. And now that I have this thing that basically is a placeholder that holds that component on game controller, I'm going to go ahead and have this run that function. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to do game controller script dot, and the name of that script was, I think, victory. Yeah. Dot victory. And I don't think I send it anything. Let's see something. Yeah, it doesn't have any parameters. Okay, so just an empty parentheses, no arguments, and then you save it. So we'll save that. Make sure I save this. Okay. So now what will happen is, first off, we make a variable that will hold the game controller script. Then that variable that can hold it, we're going to go ahead and find the game controller object that has the game controller script attached to it and put it inside of there. Then when we enter the object, or when this player pickup script, so when our player enters something that has a collider on it, it's going to take that information, it's going to test it against these various things. if the tag of the object we're entering has finish on it, it's going to go to the game controller script that we stored earlier, and it's going to run the victory function that's inside of it, okay? In this case, because it's in an object, it's called a method, but it's the same idea. All right, so just make sure that's all saved, and then we'll go back here, and hopefully we don't have any issues. I'll click on console just to see, and we'll clear that out. All right, and game controller right there. Good. So now I'll hit play, and we should see down here when we hit that box, it should say you win. Yay, you win. Okay, or you won. All right. So that works. So now we have a way of dying. Okay, and we have a way of winning. Okay, and this would just load the next level, although currently it's not doing anything. So we've now made the game. Because we could take this and make it so it puts a mesh that says you won. I could have a whole level, and all you got to do is jump from platform to platform to get to the end, and then the victory is right here, and you basically made a game. It's not very exciting, and it doesn't do a lot, but it would work, right? So I could do something along the lines of, like, I could take this and Control D, right? Control D, like that, and then take this and put this guy over here instead, and then you would yada yada yada, right? So he goes, oh no, and if he falls, he's gonna go back here, and oh crap, can't follow him. So what I'm gonna do too is take the camera, and I'm gonna parent that to the player for now. We will fix this later, but for now this should work. Okay, so we'll go like this, and I'll jump, yay, yay, and we win. And if I fall, oh whoops, let's go to the fall box. And let's edit that. So this would obviously need to be the size of basically your game. The other ways of doing this as well, we could have tested it against being a certain distance down. But if I go like this, it'll start me at the beginning. You know, and we could put a pause too later on. I'll show you how to do that. But okay, so basically we can win and we can die. So we have a tutorial on winning, and we have our dying, which we covered that first. That should say something about me. And now we have a tutorial on winning. Okay, so next what we'll do is we are going to set up keeping track of score and keeping track of lives. Okay, but we already have most of the scripts that we need for that. In fact, I think this is all the scripts that we need in order to do that. We're just going to use the ones we already have. This is the base of the game here. Pretty much we have most of the stuff that is going to be used. We'll be adding more, like to control enemies and such, but most of the scripts that we need in order to kind of control some of the stuff we basically have here.